My name is Elise Tran, and I'm 28. I didn't expect cake or a crowd this year, just a call, maybe dinner, a small sign that I wasn't an afterthought in my own family. The day passed like a long hallway with all the doors shut. No text from my mom, nothing from my sister, not even a lazy thumbs up in our group chat, the digital equivalent of a shrug. I'd set out a few folding chairs in the backyard, strung 2 strands of cafe lights, and told people not to bring anything. Of course, Tyler ignored me and showed up with a platter of ribs like he was smuggling warmth into the evening. A few friends trickled in with drinks. Someone paired a speaker. Cards slapped the table. Music made the air feel less empty. It was decent. Except every time my phone lit up, my stomach lifted, then fell. And most of the time, it didn't light up at all. Mom always sent something, even hours late. Love you, baby. Proud of you. A short benediction, thin as paper, but it mattered. That night, there was nothing. Tyler nudged me. Where's your family? They must have had other plans, I said, cheeks hot from the lie and the bourbon. He gave me a look I didn't want to hold. Later, after the last laugh braided itself into the string lights and everyone left with plastic containers and promises, I scrolled. And there it was, my mom, my sister, and my aunt, all tagged at a vineyard up north. Matching white robes, spa selfies, captions like quality time with my girls. The timestamp bloomed like a bruise. Today, my birthday, together. No mention of me, not a single wish you were here. I stared too long, not because I was surprised, but because it was finally unhidden. The silence wasn't forgetful, it was curated. It wasn't just thoughtlessness. It was something colder, tidy, and deliberate, the way you close a browser tab you never meant to open. On the table, my phone vibrated with a different name. Noah, my boyfriend. Happy birthday, Elise, he said, steady and warm. I'm sorry I couldn't get there in time. How's your night? It was okay, I said. Tyler brought ribs. They were perfect. And your mom? I watched the vineyard photo like it might confess. She's probably busy. He heard the gap I didn't fill. I'm off at 7 tomorrow. I'll come by, yeah? Yeah, I swallowed. It's fine. After we hung up, I opened a folder labeled Family, where I keep screenshots of things I try to forgive. Messages where I stepped in like a stagehand, moving scenery so their lives looked seamless. My sister's car insurance. Mom saying Dad's hours got cut. Could I float the phone bill? All of them on my plans. Prime, Netflix, Hulu, you name it. I'd even added a just-in-case credit card. Emergencies only. As it turned out, the emergency was never my birthday, never me. That night, the decision arrived without a speech. Like a tide turning you only notice once your ankles are dry. I was done. Not angry, not vengeful. Just finished playing the part they wrote for me. The quiet provider who didn't need to be included as long as the bill got paid. I started with the small doors. I signed out of every streaming account on every device and changed the passwords one by one. Netflix, HBO Max, Disney Plus, Spotify, Amazon Prime. In each login history, I saw the night of my birthday lit up with activity. While I was pretending not to notice my phone, they were queuing up movies in matching robes. Then the card. The emergency one. My sister had used it for Postmates, twice. My parents had swiped it for groceries. That wasn't the deal. I froze it, then called to close it entirely. Paid off the balance from my own pocket and felt the cut. Clean, necessary. When the last password was different and the card was a number with no pulse, I set the phone down and let the quiet have me. It wasn't peace yet, but it was the space where peace might land. Morning arrived like a question mark. The first text came from my sister. Is Netflix down? No greeting, no punctuation, just expectation. Then Mom. Your dad's card isn't working. Can you check it? I didn't answer. Another ping. We're at the store and the card keeps declining. What's going on? The tone climbed a ladder from puzzled to inconvenienced to urgent, but never to sorry. I poured coffee and watered the rosemary Amos planted along the back fence years ago. He taught me you can coax green out of neglect if you show up with water and patience. It was the only thing in our yard that never took more than it gave. The bank called. Hi, Ms. Tran, we received a report of potential fraud. No fraud, I said. Just a boundary. Silence, the click of a keyboard. Understood. Later, Noah showed up with a brown paper bag and the kind of hug that makes you want to tell the truth. He set the bag down. Egg sandwiches, from the place you like. I told him about the vineyard and the spa robes and the captions. I told him about the passwords and the card and how I slept like a person who finally stopped keeping a dying thing alive. He nodded, then hesitated. "I'm with you," he said. "Just be ready. When people are used to your yes, your no sounds like a betrayal." "I know. And your sister? Your mom? They're not going to ask what they did. They're going to ask what's wrong with you." "I know," I said again, and felt a small, stubborn flame in my chest. I want them to feel the distance they built, not so they hurt, so they notice. Noah didn't press. He never did. He washed the 2 dishes we'd used and set them to dry, like he was smoothing a wrinkle in the day. Before he left, he said, "I'm here, whatever this looks like." After he was gone, the house exhaled. My screen was a chorus, missed calls, new messages. I didn't open them. I didn't want their words to rearrange mine. I went for a walk instead, past porches that wore pumpkins out of season and wind chimes that argued with the breeze. By the time I got back, the sun was lower and the dread had drained to something steadier. Resolve, maybe. I thought about every favor I'd floated them like a bridge they never saw, how many weekends I'd canceled to drive Mom to appointments, how often I'd fronted money when Dad got behind, how I'd let my sister crash on my couch after breakups, no questions asked. I gave, and it felt like background noise to them, a hum the house made while they lived their lives. Abandoned, I typed into the Notes app, then deleted it. That was the word they were going to use. They'd bend it like wire around the shape of this moment until it held a story where I was the villain who turned off the lights. That evening, I opened Instagram again. Among the comments under the vineyard photo, a familiar username flickered. Sienna, Noah's ex, a heart emoji. A comment about girl time with my sister's handle tagged, like she'd always belonged there. It shouldn't have stung. It did. Not because I feared Noah, he had been nothing but steady, but because it confirmed what I felt. The circle I wasn't in had been closing for a while. The next day would be the real cliff, the phones, money they could ignore, a missed birthday they could justify. But taking away their connection to the world, that would force them to see the hands that held their convenience. Mine. I sat at the kitchen table that still smelled faintly of rosemary and typed in the family plan portal. 5 lines under my name. I pictured each device like a window I'd been paying to keep open in a house I no longer lived in. I took a breath and began to close them, one by one, until only my number remained. 15 minutes. Cheaper for me, devastating for them. Before I hit confirm, I whispered, "This is not revenge." Saying it out loud anchored me to the why. It was a measure, not a knife. A boundary, not a performance. Then I pressed the button and let the quiet settle in, not as a punishment, but as proof of what happens when the person you only call for help stops answering, and you have to hear what the silence has been saying all along. The first pings came like pebbles against a window. "Sister, is Netflix down?" "Mom, your dad's card isn't working. Can you check it?" "Sister again. Hulu says password changed. Send it." No greetings, no names. No, I'm sorry. Expectation dressed as urgency. I brewed tea and let their messages stack. The steam rose in a thin line, and I watched it the way you watch a road in heat, shimmering, not quite real. By noon, the tone shifted from casual inconvenience to alarm. "Mom, we're at the store. It keeps declining. What's going on?" "Sister," voice. "Elise, pick up. This is ridiculous. I needed one thing today." Ridiculous. One thing. As if the Vineyard Post didn't exist. As if my birthday was a rumored weather event that never reached their street. The phone rang again. Unknown caller. I let it go to voicemail. Then another number, local. I answered. "Ms. Tran, this is Daniel from your mobile provider. We noticed multiple lines on your account were recently canceled. We're calling to confirm." "Confirmed," I said. A pause, keys tapping. Just ensuring there wasn't a mistake, 4 secondary lines were removed at once. "No mistake," I said, and before he could slide into a script, I added, "Please add a note. Changes were made by the primary account holder." Another pause, softer this time. "Understood." By late afternoon, a Facebook message arrived from my sister's account, sent from a cafe's Wi-Fi if the geotag was to be believed. "Sister, you really cut off our phones? Are you out of your mind?" Then another. Mom and Dad are stranded. They can't call anyone. Then, you're punishing us because we had plans? Grow up. I stared at the cursor blinking in the reply box. A whole essay rose up. I paid for your plans. For years. I swallowed my loneliness to fund your convenience. I closed the app without typing a word. Silence was finally doing what my explanations never could. At dusk, my inbox dinged. Subject: urgent. Call me. From Mom. The body read like a message from 2005. We can't reach anyone. We're locked out of important services. Your father's pharmacy needed to confirm something. We have no way to call. This is not how family behaves. Please fix it. Family, I said aloud to the empty kitchen. The word felt like a coat they wanted me to put on while they took the warmth. Feet on the porch steps. I didn't look up. I knew the pattern of that climb. Noah opened the door with the carefulness of someone entering a sick room. Hey, he said, holding up a bag. Soup. I let him in. He set the bag down and waited, hands in his pockets. I read him the messages, the call, the email. He didn't interrupt. When I finished, he leaned on the counter and asked, Do you want me to be angry with you or for you? For me, I said. Okay, he nodded. Then I'm angry for you. He exhaled. You set a boundary. They're calling it an attack. That's classic. He hesitated. Did you tell them you changed the phone plan? I didn't tell them anything, I said. I'm done narrating my kindness. He came closer, a steadying presence. They're going to escalate. I know. And Sienna posted a story with your sister earlier, he added, wincing like it was a splinter he had to confess. Vague quotes about betrayal. It's bait. I felt the sting, then the numbness behind it. Let it be bait, I said. I'm not biting. When Noah left for a late shift, the house was a shell with 2 bowls drying in the rack. I walked from room to room, turning off lights like closing curtains after a play. In the bedroom, my phone flashed with Dad across the screen. I answered. What the hell is going on, Elise? No greeting, no preface, just swing, no wind-up. Why are you acting like this? I stopped acting, I said quietly. You changed all the passwords? You canceled the phones? If you had a problem, you could have come to us. Instead, you went nuclear. There it was, the script he preferred. I was dramatic, disordered, a weather system to be waited out. You skipped my birthday, I said. Not by accident, on purpose. You posted a trip with your girls. He huffed. One day. You're burning everything down over one day. One day, I repeated, tasting the hollow. Do you think that was the first day you left me out? He didn't answer. Parents rarely answer when the child they starved of warmth suddenly speaks in a voice that refuses to feed them. He pivoted. Just undo it. Your mother is upset. Your sister can't even log into her bank. We look ridiculous. We? I asked. Or you feel inconvenienced? Elise, he said, tone softening. Into a worn-in plea I recognized from every time he wanted me to stand down. You're better than this. I am, I said, and that's why I'm done. He inhaled sharply, then went quiet long enough that I could hear whatever TV he'd left on in the other room. Fine, he said at last. Anger turned to ice. If you want to be selfish, be selfish. Selfish, I repeated, dead calm. Got it. I hung up. My hands shook afterward, not with fear, but with the chemical afterburn of holding steady. In the bathroom mirror, my face looked like my mother's and not at all like hers. Same bones, different story. Midnight, another email from Mom, not frantic now, measured, almost polite. I'm disappointed in your choices. You should have come to us like an adult. Cutting us off makes you selfish. The word landed with the clink of a dropped coin that had rolled under every argument we'd ever had. Selfish for not funding your lives. Selfish for wanting a call. Selfish for needing to be more than a credit card with a pulse. I shut the laptop and went to bed. The ceiling fan spun a slow halo. Somewhere just before sleep, I remembered something. Last year's hotel points had vanished faster than they should have. At the time, I thought I'd miscounted. Now a thin thread tugged at me. I got up, padded back to the table, and opened my rewards account. There it was, the Vineyard weekend. 2 rooms, charged entirely on points accrued from my card. Years of groceries and travel and bills I'd consolidated to stretch every dollar, spent quietly on a trip I wasn't invited to. On my birthday. I didn't feel the usual heat. I felt a kind of cold that clarifies. I screenshotted the page. Then I called the credit company and filed a formal misuse complaint, naming authorized users and dates. The rep's voice was clinical. "This may escalate, Ms. Tran." "Let it," I said. "It's accurate." The next morning, the quiet was heavy with weather. I imagined them, phones dark, Wi-Fi only, messages bouncing against closed doors. I imagined their stories taking shape. Elisa is unstable. Elise is punishing us. Elise is ungrateful. The versions would breed in group chats where no one would ask the question that mattered. What had they done to make this necessary? By afternoon, cousins I hadn't spoken to in months began to send neutral probes. "Hey, your mom seems really hurt. Maybe just talk before this goes too far? We all make mistakes, Elise. She's still your mom." I didn't reply. I had explained myself for years by doing. My silence was the first sentence I'd written that wasn't edited by someone else's comfort. A number I recognized, reluctantly, flashed again. "Noah," I picked up. "They're calling around," he said, "painting you as gone off the deep end." He paused. "Do you want me to say anything to them?" "No," I said. "Anything we say now becomes evidence in a trial they're performing in a court they own." I exhaled. "Just hold the line with me." "Always," he said. At sunset, the doorbell rang. For one wild second, I thought, "Mom." An apology, a human face. It was a package. Return address, the mobile provider, confirming changes to my account. I signed and carried it inside. The house felt different, like a stage after the audience leaves. Quiet, chairs empty, lights warm but low. The set hadn't changed. I had. That night, my sister posted a long story with pale text on a dark background. People forget where they came from. Some of us do everything for others and get nothing back. Mutuals chimed in with glittering sympathy. Near the bottom, a tiny tag, at Sienna. I laughed once, short, unpretty. Not because of Noah, because the chorus had formed exactly the way Noah predicted. Those who benefited most from my silence now wanted to be loud for each other. I made a list on yellow paper. Streaming, changed. Card, closed. Phones, canceled. Cloud storage, remove shared folders. Rideshare credits, revoke family access. Amazon household, separate. I worked the list like stitches, tugging thread from seams I had sewn for them. Shared cloud, gone. Rideshare credits, cleared. Amazon household, unlinked. With every click, the house of convenience they'd mistaken for their own shifted back into mine. Sometime after midnight, a final message arrived. Plain text, no flourish. From Mom. "We feel abandoned." I read it twice. Then I put the phone face down and turned off the lamp. The room fell into a darkness that didn't scare me. If anything, it told the truth. You can't call it abandonment when the only thing you ever wanted was my access, not my presence. You didn't lose your daughter. You lost your shortcut. I slept well. 2 days passed in a strange, heavy quiet. Not peaceful, just the kind of hush before a storm finally breaks. Then came the knock. I opened the door to find my sister standing there, her hair tied in a messy bun, gym clothes, clinging like she'd sprinted here, phone dead in her hand, Starbucks cup in the other. She looked both cornered and confident, like she couldn't decide if she was here to fight or negotiate. "Can we talk?" she asked, brushing past me before I answered. She sat on the couch, scanned the room like she was expecting allies to appear from behind the curtains. "So, did you have your little moment? Are you ready to fix things?" The word hit harder than her tone. Moment. Like everything I'd done was a tantrum. Temporary. Childish. I folded my arms. Nothing's getting fixed. Her eyes narrowed. "Mom's worried sick. Dad had to borrow a neighbor's phone just to call the office. We're stressed out of our minds, Elise, and you're acting like the world's ending over one day." "One day?" I repeated, hearing the disbelief in my own voice. "You really think this is about a single birthday?" She blinked, then looked away, like she hadn't rehearsed for this turn in the conversation. "You blindsided us. No warning. Just cut everyone off." I leaned forward. "Do you want a list? Years of paying bills, adding you to my plans, letting you live off me digitally, financially, emotionally. Never being thanked. Never being invited unless I was useful. And the one day, that wasn't about you. You all chose to leave me out. Not by accident. By choice." Silence. She tapped her straw against the lid, staring at the coffee she wasn't drinking. Then she muttered, "Well, you never asked for anything." That excuse landed like glass breaking. I almost laughed. Exactly. That's what made it easier to forget me, right? Her jaw clenched, but she didn't answer. She just stood, muttered something about, Mom will be hearing about this, and left without slamming the door. The silence she left behind was heavier than before. That night, my email pinged again. Mom. This time, no frantic capitals. Just calm, deliberate words. I'm disappointed in the way you've handled things. You should have come to us like an adult. Cutting us off was selfish. Selfish. That word burrowed deep. Selfish for not paying their bills. Selfish for needing acknowledgement. Selfish for refusing to be their walking lifeline. I stared at the word until it blurred, until my hands shook, not with rage, but with a cold steadiness. Then I logged into my credit account, scrolling through old transactions. That's when I saw it. The vineyard trip. 2 deluxe spa packages, hotel meals, wine tasting tours, all charged to points I had accumulated. My points. The rewards from bills and expenses I had consolidated over years. They hadn't just left me out, they'd celebrated on my dime. I sat back. The bitterness sharpened, then froze. The anger was gone. What replaced it was colder, heavier, final. I called the credit company. I need to file a formal complaint, I told the rep. Misuse of my account points. He hesitated. This could escalate. Let it. The fallout spread quickly. Cousins I hadn't spoken to in years slid into my inbox. Hey, I don't know what's happening, but your mom seems really hurt. Maybe talk before this goes too far? We all make mistakes, Elise. She's still your mom. I didn't reply. Explaining myself had become a second language I refused to speak anymore. Then came a call from a number I almost ignored. Aunt Lisa. Dad's sister. Sharp. No filter. I've heard about 10 versions of this, she said. 9 of them sound like crap. What actually happened? I told her everything. No sugarcoating, no pauses to soften the blow. The birthday, the spa trip, the years of financial cover-ups, the fraud alert, the accusation of selfishness. She listened without interrupting, just the sound of her breathing steady through the line. Then she said, Yeah, that tracks. Am I going too far? I asked. No, she said firmly. You're just the first one to stop pretending they're not selfish. Her words hit harder than any insult my family had thrown at me, because they were true. That's exactly what it had been all these years. Pretending we were close, pretending my effort mattered, pretending I wasn't just a safety net they'd trample when they felt like leaping. That night, while I scrolled, I noticed something else. My sister had posted another vague story on Instagram. Some people bite the hand that feeds them. Sad when family betrays you. The comments flooded in. You've done so much for people, babe. They don't deserve you. I laughed out loud. A dry, humorless laugh. I had footed her entire digital life for 5 years, and now she was the one painting herself as the betrayed. Noah called later. You okay? I'm fine, I said, though my voice cracked. You don't sound fine, I sighed. It's not just about me cutting them off. It's the story they're building. I can already see how it spreads. I'm selfish, ungrateful, unstable, and the worst part, people will believe it. Noah was quiet for a moment. Then he said, The people who matter won't, and the ones who do believe it, maybe they never mattered. I wanted to believe him, but I knew how deep family stories run. Still, for the first time, I realized something important. Maybe this wasn't about waking them up. Maybe this was about finally waking myself up. The quiet didn't last long. People like my family can't stand silence. Not when silence means they're not in control. First, it was Mom's friend from high school, calling out of nowhere. Your mom is devastated, Elise. She misses you. She's afraid she's lost you forever. Her voice was syrupy, rehearsed. But what stuck with me was what she didn't say. Mom hadn't picked up the phone herself. She hadn't said the words that mattered. I'm sorry, I was wrong. She'd sent someone else to soften me up. That night, I sat at the kitchen table and drafted one final message. Not to start a fight, just to end it. I didn't cut you off over one birthday. I cut you off because you've spent years showing me I was only valuable when I was useful. You left me out of your lives, and I finally believed you. I'm not angry anymore. I'm just done. I sent it to Mom, Dad, and my sister. Then I blocked them. The next day, Tyler showed up on my porch with tacos in one hand and a 6-pack in the other. He didn't say a word at first, just cracked a beer, handed it to me, and sat down. We ate in silence until he finally muttered, Your mom's been calling everyone. Says she wants to fix things. I looked at him. Fix what? He shrugged. Didn't say. Just that she didn't mean to hurt you, that things got out of hand. Did she admit what she actually did? I asked. Tyler didn't answer right away. He took another sip, then shook his head. No, just that it's gone too far and she wants you to come back around. Come back around. The phrase sat heavy in my chest. Not we want to make this right. Not we finally understand how we failed you. Just come back around. Like I was the one who'd wandered off. Like all I needed to do was return to the fold. The fold where I paid their bills, kept my mouth shut, and let them pretend none of it ever happened. I didn't say much more. Tyler knew where I stood. When he left, he squeezed my shoulder like he was pressing approval into my skin. That same night, an email arrived from Mom. Subject: let's fix this. I almost deleted it, but something made me click. The body was short. I never wanted it to come to this. I've made mistakes. I see that now. But we're still your family. Come home. Let's talk. Let's fix this. We love you. We forgive you. We forgive you. I stared at the screen until the words lost their shape. Forgive me? Like I was the one who left them out of a birthday trip. Like I was the one who drained their accounts and locked them out of their own lives. Forgive me for refusing to be erased? There was no, we're sorry, no, we were wrong. Just a soft suggestion that both sides had messed up equally and that I should be the one to mend it. I didn't reply. Instead, I finished what I started. I combed through every account, every tie, every place my name or email kept their lives running smoother. Old rental applications, a shared Costco membership, even a gym account I'd forgotten I'd opened with my sister. I pulled myself out of everything. Every trace of me in their logistics, gone. 2 days later, a real letter showed up. Blue ink, sloppy handwriting. 3 pages from Mom. We miss you. We love you. You're our daughter. Then the careful apology. I'm sorry if you felt left out. That was never our intention. If you felt, the apology that isn't one. As if I'd misinterpreted, as if being excluded was a misunderstanding I should forgive. The next paragraph was worse. Things have been so hard for us lately. Dad is struggling with payments. Your sister's job isn't stable. We could use a little help until we get back on track. And then the kicker. We're ready to forgive you whenever you're ready to come back. I folded the letter, slid it back into the envelope, and dropped it straight into the trash. That was the day I decided to leave. Not for a weekend, not for a reset, for good. I packed quietly, telling no one. Not even Noah at first. He had a steady job here, roots he couldn't just tear up. But when I told him, he didn't argue. I get it, he said softly. I'll visit. We'll figure it out. For the first time in years, I felt a spark of something I hadn't allowed myself. Freedom. The morning I drove out, the city behind me shrinking in the mirror, I didn't cry. I didn't second guess. I didn't even turn the radio on. 16 hours later, I pulled into a different state, a modest rental, waiting with bare walls and quiet air. For the first time, no one knew where I was. No one expected anything. My name wasn't on someone else's bill. I wasn't the emergency contact, the fallback, the fixer. I was just Elise. The first 3 weeks in the new place felt unreal. The nights were so quiet, I almost couldn't sleep. No buzzing notifications, no vague guilt messages, no one asking for favors. At first, the silence felt like a wound. Then it started to feel like air in my lungs. I cooked simple meals. I paid only for my own accounts. I watched shows that I wanted to watch, without wondering who was using my logins at that very moment. Slowly, the life I'd always carried for everyone else dissolved, and what was left was just mine. Then came the voicemail. I didn't recognize the number, but curiosity won. My sister's voice spilled out, thinner than I remembered. I know you're probably not going to listen, but I don't know what else to do. Mom cries almost every day. Dad keeps checking the mailbox for a letter that's not coming. Just let us know you're alive. She didn't sound angry. She sounded tired, worn down. But even then, she never said the words that mattered. Not once. We were wrong. I deleted the message. A few days later, an email landed. From Dad. Just 2 lines. I know you've made your decision. I respect that. Just know that I was wrong. We all were. You didn't deserve any of it. I read it once. My breath caught, but I didn't cry. I didn't respond either. I let it sit in my inbox, unopened again after the first read, like a relic in a glass case. Too late to change anything. But at least it existed. Some people never even get that. After that, the noise finally stopped. No more cousins sliding into my messages. No more friends of Mom calling to smooth things over. Just quiet. One weekend, Tyler found me. He stood on my porch with his usual grin and a bag of takeout. "So this is where peace lives now, huh?" We ate together, trading easy conversation. At one point, I admitted, "I don't hate them. I'm just finished. I can't go back." He nodded. "They keep saying they lost you. But they never really had you, Elise. They just had access." The truth of it hit me harder than any apology could. They hadn't lost a daughter or a sister. They'd lost the version of me who tolerated being used, forgotten, dismissed. Once that version was gone, there was nothing left for them to hold on to. Now, every so often, a holiday card slips into my mailbox. No return address. Just "thinking of you," signed by mom or dad. I don't respond. But I don't throw them away either. I keep them in a drawer, not because I'm holding on, but because they remind me how far I've come. Forgiveness doesn't always mean going back. Sometimes it means moving forward without dragging the weight behind you. I didn't burn the bridge, I just crossed it, and I never plan to return.